going on, y'all? Welcome back. It's Ars. Let's get productive. So I've been coming across a lot of really cool plugins lately, like a lot of times more so than VSTs. And I don't know about you, maybe it's just me, but I find that you could work with the same VST for a long time and just switch out the plugins you're using with that, along with that VST, and it can take a sound that you used in a previous beat and make that sound like something completely different. So maybe that's why, maybe I'm into all of the different textures and various ways you can change a sound using a plugin versus a VST. But lately I've just really been on my plugin thing. Like effects plugins has been everything to me. So with that being said, I recently came across a new plugin that I'm really digging. It's by Kit Plugins and it's a channel strip plugin. It's the Blackbird N105 V2 channel strip plugin. This thing is really good and it's really authentic sounding, which is why I wanted to bring it to this channel, because I think a lot of times when plugins try to copy a version of hardware, sometimes it can fall a little flat. But I do think software is getting to that place. People are gonna rip me to shreds for saying this in the comment section. I already know you audiophiles out there about to go crazy, but I don't care. I'm just going off of my ears and what I like and what I hear. And I really do think software is slowly starting to inch its way to that place where if you're not an audiophile, you really can't hear the difference between some of these software plugins and the hardware. This plugin, I think, is really saying something in that regard. The Blackbird N105 V2, I think, is an excellent channel strip plugin, and we're gonna strip this thing down and I'm gonna really show you what it can do. So let's get right into it. No more talking. Kit Plugins, Blackbird N105 V2. Let's see what this thing can do. So as always, I have Logic queued up and this is the Blackbird. We're not going to get to the N105 V2, all of that. That's a lot to say over and over in a review. So we're going to just stick to Blackbird. That's what we're going to call this thing, the Blackbird. This is the Blackbird, as you can see on the screen right here. Now, before we get into what all is happening in this channel strip, I'm going to refer to the website and just go over a little bit of the explanation they have behind even the point of making this plugin. Blackbird's Studio A console is literally a monument of music legend. After John McBride acquired the console in 2001, it underwent a breakthrough restoration process to bring it to its original heavyweight glory. The console then received a series of cutting-edge modifications from some of the most brilliant minds in the audio industry, making it not only extremely unique, but also arguably the best model of its namesake ever to exist. Ever. I don't know how true that is. Don't quote me on that. But reading what they wrote sounds really cool. So I'm going to read some more. We carefully examined the console's distinct makeup, from factory schematics to the workflows of top producers and engineers, to fully understand what makes it so unique. They want to know what makes this thing work. Our engineers painstakingly sampled every last remarkable sonic aspect: saturation, equalization, noise, distortion, depth, width, and musicality. Our mission was to create a plugin that truly embodied the sound of recording in Blackbird's legendary Studio A. Utilizing John's personal favorite A&D converters, we truly believe we captured the sound of its one-of-a-kind NEV 8078 in all its glory. Now, I don't know how true any of that is. I'd like to be optimistic and believe everything that was just said is exactly how they approached it. They sound very detailed and they sound very, it sounds very detailed, and it sounds like they did really spend a lot of time trying to make it sound authentic. I can go off of my ears after using this thing for a little bit and say it does sound very authentic. It doesn't sound digital. It sounds warm. It sounds fresh. And you're going to be able to hear that for yourself in a little bit. It's not too aggressive. It's not over the top, but it works and it does what it's supposed to do. So now, with that being said, we're going to jump back to the UI. Beautiful UI, beautiful looking channel strip. I like the little added touch of the wood grain on the side. I like the color. Now, you can change the fader color right here by clicking fader. If you want to just change that color, that's one thing that you can do. That's pretty cool. I like keeping it gray. If you click on the options tag, you have the oversampling section here, and you have global settings, which allows you to link your oversampling, link the hum level. You could save presets, save new presets, and right here in the drop down menu, you have presets already set up. So that's always cool when you can just jump to a preset and kind of find what it is you were looking for right off the bat. Right over here on the left, you have the auto gain. That allows you to attenuate the output levels so you can kind of keep things balanced, and it'll kind of automatically, you know, limit that for you to keep things where it needs to be. The continuous your continuous button right here allows you to boost or cut the mic pre-gain variably as opposed to stepped. If you go down right over here, this fader here is your output level. Right over here in the top left corner, this is going to be your preamp sensitivity knob. Basically, it allows you to add more compression to your sound depending on how much you dial up the knob. You'll be able to hear that in a second when I play around with this thing. Right over here, you have line and mic, and this switch right here, the line and mic switch, allows you to just play with the sensitivity of this knob up here. When it's in line mode, that, let's just call it the compressor knob, that compressor knob it'll be inactive. When you turn it to mic mode, it'll be active. Right down here, you have your saturation switch, and you can leave that switch on to add a bit of beefy saturation to your signal. And these four knobs right here are your EQ settings. The grayish outer part of the knobs allows you to switch between frequencies, and the blue part of the knob, it allows you to add gain. So you can change the frequency, and you can change how much gain or you're adding or subtracting from that frequency. You have everything from your low pass to your highs to your high mids and your low mids. And as you can see, you have your frequency dials here, and you have your gain dials right there. Right over here, you have your high Q switch. You can press this button. Once it's activated, it will narrow the selected band. And you also have another high Q switch down here. Same situation, it'll narrow the selected band. You have this low mode button right here that once it's highlighted, it'll allow you to alternate between a peak filter and a low shelf. And one of my favorite things about this plugin is the analog hum switch, which you can turn on and off. Turning it on introduces some analog noise into your signal, and using this hum level right here, you can adjust the gain of that analog noise. You have a phase button right here. You press that button to reverse the phase, and you could turn on this EQ button to bypass the EQ. That's pretty much it. Like I said, it's a channel strip, pretty straightforward as far as channel strips go. But what's really cool about this thing is what's going on under the hood, how this thing actually sounds. And that's what we're going to get into right now. So we're going to jump into this cookup. I have a beat queued up already. Something simple, but something that I think will allow us to see what this thing can do. I'm going to apply this channel strip to the master, the stereo out, so that it can be applied to all of the instruments in this production. Refer back to the default settings so we can do this thing from scratch. So this is the beat without the plugin on at all. All right, and now we're gonna turn this thing on, and I'm gonna just start messing with some of the parameters here, and let's see what we can do with this thing here. Let's get right into it. N105. So one of the things I'm noticing about this thing is the frequency dial on the knobs here can be a little difficult to turn using your mouse. So that's one advantage of having the actual hardware. It could be a little bit sticky, a little hard to turn. I've noticed if I click the outside of it, it's easier to turn. But if you try to actually click on it, it's a lot more difficult, a little more sticky for some reason. But it is what it is. So let's get where we need to be. Listen to how much it beefs up the sub frequencies. Listen to this. It's crazy. Obviously, you're not going to have the gain that high. I'm blasting this thing like crazy. The analog hum is very, very subtle, which is good because it allows it to sound authentic. But unless you have like a trained ear, you're not really going to notice much difference, especially on a beat like this. If you're making a lo-fi beat with very little instrumentation, some boom bap type drums, and a very simple melody, you might notice the analog hum a lot more because there'll be a lot more space in the track. But it's subtle, but it is doing something. So now I'm going to play the beat before and after. This is the before. And this is the beat with the Blackbird on. And like I said, very authentic sounding, very natural sounding. I'm not going to say authentic because I don't know how similar it is to the original piece of hardware. I'm not going to make that distinction. I'll leave that up. I'll leave that to someone in the comment section to make a comment about that. But I will say it's very real sounding. Like, I don't know how authentic it is to the original, but it does sound very natural. That's the right word for it. It's very natural sounding. It doesn't sound super digital. Sounds very real. And I like that. Very warm. Nothing's too over the top. None of the effects are too aggressive. It's smooth and it gets you where you need to be. And I like that. I love plugins that don't do too much and just destroy the dynamics of your track. This is really cool. I didn't do the best mix on the beat itself. You know, I didn't take a lot of time. I just wanted to show you guys what this thing sound like. But I could imagine if I really sat here and mixed this beat down and had the gain on all the sounds where it gain stage this and had the mix where it need to be and introduced that audio signal into this plugin, it would sound even better than it sounds right now. But I really like how this thing sounds. But yeah, that's it. Kit Plugins, the Blackbird channel strip. I really think this is a warm, natural sounding channel strip. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to do the comparisons to the original piece of hardware. I've never heard it, so I don't really know how close it comes to sounding exactly like that piece of hardware. But I will say that Kit Plugins made a beautiful plugin and it works really well. If you're new to my channel and you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can stay notified anytime I drop a new video. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.